What's up, everyone? Me sitting my ugly black ass up. I was laying down, enjoying my day off work, and then I go to my Facebook to see what's happening. That's my daily routine before I go and record my video gameplay and all of that. And then I see this video about Donald Trump signing an executive order to have the Keystone Pipeline built. If you're not familiar with the whole Keystone Pipeline fiasco, because you may have been living under a rock, yes, pun intended. Well, actually, no pun intended, because I don't want to offend the Native Americans over there. But yeah, all jokes aside, like there's been protests throughout the later of 2016 for a Keystone Pipeline that was suggested to be built over this area in North Dakota, where the Standing Rock tribe, which is a tribe of Native Americans, which call their place home, as well as there's a bunch of sacred land over there that was given to them, from the time of like colonization, et cetera, and all that other stuff, man. Trust me, I can go into a big history lesson, but I'm half asleep right now because I just woke up to do this video. But yeah, there's been a lot of protests because the pipeline, when it was suggested, that they were going to build it, they were building it over a creek over there. They were building it on a water source that the tribes and many other people use as a source of fresh water. And the worry, and rightfully so, based on history, which I'm going to touch on, was that because that pipelines are known to rupture, and they've happened pretty frequently since the 21st century, and I'm going to touch on that just now. It wasn't a matter of if the pipeline was going to rupture, it was a matter of when. And that's what because if the water gets ruined, obviously, so I'm not one to get into like Democrat and political party aside, whichever one. I don't give a fuck about that shit. It's just a matter of common sense, And on the video where I seen that they were doing protests in New York, like Native Americans and everyone who supports them, were doing protests over this executive act by Trump. I've seen people, who were for the pipeline and people who weren't for the pipeline. And one of the people who were for the pipeline, which I can only assume were the Republicans, because that's what it seemed like to me. One of the ladies, she said that, there's a lot of jobs that will be created from this. We have to look at all sides. When she herself was not looking at all sides when she said that. So let me go in on that for now. If we're going to look at all sides, you have to look at the common sense of the factor that because pipelines are known to rupture, and that it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when it happens, whether it be the next day after the pipeline is finished or whether it be 5 years down the line or whatever. If that pipeline ruptures, or rather when that pipeline ruptures, when that rupture happens, all that oil is going to flow right into that water source, and that water is ruined. Of course they can clean it up and they can fix it up, but by that time, there's salmon, there's sea life in there that people depend on. There's that water is something that people need. And you can't be so focused on jobs that you miss the fact that people need that water to live. You need water to live. You know what I mean? It's like people cutting down too many trees, knowing that trees are what gives us oxygen. They take the carbon monoxide into them, and then they release oxygen from that. That's science. I don't want to get too deep into that because I know some of y'all didn't graduate school, or even paid attention in school to even know that little bit of simple information. But yeah, like if more people were cutting down, trees to the point of deforestation, or mass deforestation was an issue, which it is in some places, because there have been tribes of people on islands who cut down too many trees, and because they didn't have the oxygen to live, no vegetation. They didn't have trees over there. Like the vegetation stopped growing, and many other things happened, including them going extinct. They had, on the History Channel, they have like specials of these things. It was one tribe of people on an island. They cut down trees to make idols out of the wood, and they ended up dying because of deforestation. So imagine that being the case with water. If the water gets ruined, people are going to, you know what I mean? Of course, they can get their water from other places, but they shouldn't have to do that because you wanted to build a health hazard over that water source. So let me turn my camera around. Let me see. How the fuck do I turn it around? Fuck me. How do I do? You know what? Let me just do it like this. So I don't know how well you guys can see this. It's kind of like backwards and something, but I'm on Wikipedia right now, and I looked up. It's a little bit backwards because I don't see how to turn the camera around on this phone. But yeah, it's a list of every pipeline disaster since 2000, since the 21st century. And if I just scroll down, like let me just hold the camera up to the side right here. Let me just scroll down. You can see every one of those dots is another pipeline that ruptured. And I read up until like 2003, because obviously I wasn't going to read all this. Most of those ended up fucking up water sources, that people will use. And this is the threat of what we have to deal with when it comes to this pipeline being built. Now, I'm not one of those people that's saying, oh, let's not be, you're not for jobs or anything like that. No, man, don't come at me with that dumbass shit, because you wasn't paying attention to the entirety of this video if you come at me with that. It's not that I don't want jobs made. I mean, obviously people can take care of their families and whatnot, but let's not ignore the fact that this is a health hazard. If when the pipeline ruptures, it's going to fuck up the water that people need to live. Because you can't live without water, bro. Instead, find an alternate route, because that's what actually, when the pipeline progress had got halted the first time from the protests, that's what it seemed like they were trying to do. They were trying to get an alternative route or find an alternative method of getting that pipeline built, because they didn't want, since the protests had garnered so much attention that you had war veterans coming there in support of the tribes. You had people from all over the nation going there supporting the tribe. Of course, they had themselves there. It was a big deal. So, like, it's just, you just got to use some common sense. Like, we could actually find a way around that water source to where it's not a health hazard to all those who are dependent on that, And then when you think about it, since jobs is such a big, concern, finding an alternative route. Let's say they find a route that gets built around the water source. That way, even if it ruptures, it won't leak into the into the water. That pipeline would take longer to build, meaning people will be employed longer. People would be able to make more money for their families and things like that. So why not just do that? Why force the pipeline to be built over the water source? That makes no fucking sense, man. Like, change that up. So, like I said, this shit is just stupid. And it's a simple solution, bro. It's a simple solution. It don't take that much thought. Me, I'm half asleep right now, so if I sound kind of off, I'm just tired, man. I was listening to music. I was chilling, but you know, it's like people overcomplicate things and they just become biased to one side to where nobody wants to use common sense anymore. It's just one of those things. So that's my take on it. Not that y'all asked for my opinion anyways, but somebody gotta be the voice of reason around this motherfucker, so might as well be me. So I hope that, well, fuck hoping, get your ass out there and protest again. Trust me, if I had the money, I'd be out there my damn self. But I don't really have it like that, so I can't really afford to travel anywhere at the moment. But yeah, and keep fighting this. I'm saying, don't let that pipeline get built if y'all can help it. Let them find an alternative route around that water source so that the pipeline doesn't present a health hazard to the water source that people depend on. That's all I'm saying. Might keep people employed longer, and since jobs are such a concern because people can make money and whatever, that would keep people employed longer. I mean, it's just a simple solution, you know. So that's my take on it. I'm going back to sleep. Peace.